Perfect. This is Making Magical Moments in a Virtual Environment. I am Kevin Roten, and I love to talk about using Disney techniques to make your classroom the most exciting place on earth. And yes, the costume is part of the show. It's really easy to wear a costume on camera because you don't even know if I'm in full costume. I might just have this shirt and hat on. Who knows? It's so much easier. It's great. I highly recommend and encourage using the chat to interact with me during my presentation, just like I beg my students to do every day in class. I don't love talking to a blank screen, so by all means, feel free to use the chat or turn on your microphone, ask a question at any time. You won't throw me. If I can do this 4 times a day with middle schoolers, I can handle it with adults. So I hope you will get a lot out of this presentation. It is largely inspirational, I will admit that up front, and not so much step-by-step how to do everything, but I try to make myself available to answer any questions you may have at any time. So please feel free to stop me along the way. So here we go, great moments with Mr. Disney. I'm going to talk about my book at the end. I have some good news. It should be coming, actually. Gosh, I wish, Isaiah, but the problem is we're all at home, and you know what happens when you try to look at the backside of water at home? You hit your head on the back of the sink. It always happens. You just can't do it. We're all stuck. It's sad, but that's where we are. All right, here we go. So I wanted to start here. I wanted to talk about competition a little bit. So I know most of us being California people, not everybody, but most of us are California people. We are almost completely virtual, almost 100% digital. I have been completely virtual since March 13th of last year. I literally have not met my current students, my 7th graders. They came from an elementary school. I've never met them. They are just, in many cases, gray boxes on a screen that I've never seen or heard from. So they don't have the normal connection to me that my students would have, which goes a long way. We all know how powerful our personal relationships are in the classroom. Those are very hard to build when we're fully virtual. So instead, I think if we think more of our presentation as a show, we can help to bring students in a little more. So this is a screenshot of Twitch. Twitch is a video game streaming platform, not for playing video games, but for watching them. And it is incredibly popular, especially among our students starting, I don't know, around age, 7 or 8 when they get into Minecraft now. And so this is what we're competing with, because really Twitch is someone in front of a camera doing something on a screen and working with an audience. In this case, they're playing video games, but it's a very similar sort of situation. You may have even seen, for example, in your classroom chat, this is my favorite one. Whenever I talk about someone dying, because I talk about history, I will very frequently see this in chat. If you're looking at chat, I will see the letter F all over the place. And luckily, being a video game nerd myself, I knew exactly what that meant and why they were typing it. But if you're not aware of little things like that, F it's a video game meme. It's a reference to a video game where there was a game that came out last year, one of the Call of Duties, where there was a command that said, press F to pay respects. You were at a funeral for your fellow soldier. So whenever students see someone pass away in class, or we talk about someone who died in class, they did this with Julius Caesar, I see all the Fs pop up in chat. And if we're not aware of what we're competing with, that might feel disruptive, it might feel strange. So here's an example that I was able to find. You can see here, good old PewDiePie just barely winning whatever this was going on with. And you see all the Fs in chat. Press F to pay respects, F, F, F. We're in a very different world now than we've ever been before. We're in a very different world. I've had lots of those things kind of pop up where students will say something in chat and I'm like, I do not know that reference. It's a chat reference, but I don't know it. I'll leave some of the scarier ones out, but it's been a weird year. It's been a weird year. And that's what we have to compete with. And if all we're doing is taking our normal worksheet and throwing it on a Google slide deck or on a Pear Deck and hoping that's enough to engage our students, they are simply going to turn their camera off, open this in the next tab over, and they look like they're in class, but you and I all know they're probably not in class. They're probably not paying attention. They're watching Netflix, they're watching Twitch, they're watching, whatever. So it is very important that we make sure to make our way through this. Jasmina, I don't have this presentation yet. It's on my Google Drive. I didn't share it, but I will absolutely make sure that you guys get that link at the end, definitely. There's not a lot of tutorial stuff on the slide deck, but I will make sure you guys get it. And in fact, if you remind me at the end, I'll even put the link for it in chat, and I'll make sure we all get it before we go. All right, so we know what we're competing with. Well, thankfully, there are some people out there who are very good at competing for attention, and they are the Disney Imagineers. Today, we're going to talk about 3 tips from this particular book, one of my favorite Disney books called Be Our Guest, Perfecting the Art of Customer Service. We're going to look at 3 tips that they use to create magical moments. So a magical moment is a memorable moment that is created by the Disney cast. It can be very random, it can be very planned, but it is something that a guest will never forget. That is the idea behind these magical moments. And if we can create those moments for our students, not every day, but for every now and then, it helps to keep them engaged, wondering when is that next magic moment going to come. And the 3 things about magic moments are, they are high touch. We'll talk about what that means. You can say, Mr. Roten, how can I be high touch connected through a screen? Thankfully, it doesn't mean physical touch. High show, which is about the presentation piece in your work. And then they are high tech, which is what we're all here about today in a Q presentation anyway. So high touch, high show, high tech. Let's go. High touch refers to the need to build guest interaction into the service experience. For the most part, we humans enjoy connecting with each other. So if we create service moments that give guests a chance to participate, make choices, interact with the cast, they will connect more intimately with the experience and the organization that's providing it. High touch is a quality that cast is particularly adept at providing. First of all, know your audience. If this was to a group of students, I would not put this entire block quote from the book in there. But I know being teachers, we like to know where our information comes from. So this is a quote from Be Our Guest, but I've simplified it. Notice the use of color. The only part you really need to see, high touch is about interaction, participation, making choices, interacting with the cast, and it is provided by the cast. High touch is something that if you just leave your students an assignment on their Google Classroom page or their PowerSchool page, they cannot get a high touch interactive experience. It requires you, it requires the teacher, it requires their classmates and interacting. Very difficult to do online, not impossible. My favorite story about guest interaction and the importance of cast came last year. I was at Disneyland last year. Actually, this would have now been 2 years ago because, last year it shut down. 2 years ago, I was at Disneyland for one of the very final showings of the Main Street Electrical Parade. And it was super crowded because it was one of the last shows. And we lined up hours and hours earlier for this experience. And, people were lined up 5, 6, 7 people deep, which that's about as far as you can go for a Disney parade, because then you hit that magic invisible rope and you can't go any further. Well, the parade begins and there was a family far back, far more than 7 rows deep. They were so far back. The adults could kind of kneel and see a little bit, but there was a young girl, probably 6 or 7 years old, maybe 5, all dressed to the nines in her princess dress. I'm pretty sure it was Elsa. She had her little wand. And one of the cast members, about 2 or 3 minutes into the show, I see her go back there, bend down, talk to the little girl, and then takes her by the hand and walks her up to the front. Just takes the little girl and stands her up in front. So this little girl then got to watch the rest of this parade, front row seat, standing there with this cast member. And it was so incredible. The look on her face. Paint the Night is 100% the best parade Disney has ever done. If you disagree with me, I will fight you. Paint the Night is incredible. If you've never seen Paint the Night, go watch it on YouTube. It's great. So this young lady, this little girl, watching her face during the parade as a teacher of kids really became what made it so special for me. It was magic. She smiled, she waved at every single character that came by. The poor cast member, this young woman, is kneeling down so she's not blocking all the rest of the guests. And at the end of the show, and it's a long parade, folks, it's like 15, 20 minutes long. At the end of the parade, the cast member, she kind of slowly stands up, as we adults have to do when we've been on our knees for 15 minutes. And I heard her whisper to one of the other cast members, and she said, "That was so painful, but it was so worth it." That interaction she had with that young girl, that is a high touch experience. That is the the power of seeing our role as a mentor, as a teacher, as an adult in these students' lives. Again, that's a physical representation of it. Trying to bring that virtually is tough, but not impossible. There's a lot we can do to make our online shows interactive. I haven't been to Universal, Scott, in decades, long since Harry Potter World opened. I would love to see it at some point, but I've heard that it's very similar in terms of its levels of interaction. So these are 3 tools that I have been using since virtual learning began. And all 3 are effective. All 3 are slightly different in what they allow you to do. So the first one I want to talk about briefly is straw poll. If you are using a paid version of Zoom, if your school has a paid version of Zoom, then you already have a polling tool built in. My school does not pay for the paid version of Zoom, so I didn't have a polling tool built in. Google Meet eventually added it. They added their polling tool a few months ago. So if you're a Google Meet school, you have access to a polling tool. But if you don't have that in your live chat experience, straw poll is great. It is absolutely wonderful. So I'm just going to show you real quick how straw poll works. We'll take a look at a straw poll. I'm going to put a link in the chat if you would like to take the poll and be a part of the experience. There you go. There's the link in chat for the following very important poll, asking what is the best Disney song? Can you guys see just confirm that you can see the webpage on my shared screen, because I'm not getting the green your screen is shared box for some reason. Okay, perfect. Usually Zoom highlights your shared screen. I don't know why mine isn't, maybe because I'm co-hosting. So this is straw poll, and it's as simple as it can possibly be. You put in a question, and I'll show you how to make one here in just a minute. You put in your 4 options, you choose your theme, you tell them you're not a robot. I won't pick my answer yet because I don't want to give away the right answer. I'll let everybody else pick. And then you can see the results. These are the only 4 options. Does anyone in chat have an option they would pick that's not on this list? Anyone want to make an honorable mention that I left off? All right, Main Street Electrical Parade theme, classic, very good. I again prefer the remixed version for Paint the Night, but that is a great song. I would agree with that. Whistle While You Work, good one. Beauty and the Beast, great song. Whistle While You Work isn't my favorite. Go the Distance from Hercules, great song. Oh, Small World, I'm sorry, I can't. I just can't. I don't hate Small World like some people claim to hate Small World, but I can't put it at the top of the list. Oh, my robot expired. Hercules, the whole soundtrack to Hercules is fantastic. I'll Make a Man Out of You, one of my favorites, great song. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious from Mary Poppins, great song. So many good ones, so many good ones. All right, so I'm gonna click on my vote. I will also vote for Fantasmic Finale, such a good song. Space Mountain theme, very close second. But I'm gonna pick Finale Fantasmic. I'm gonna hit my vote and I get my results just that quick, just that quick. And it's nice and colorful. It's very easy for students to use. More importantly, it's so easy to make. You don't even have to make an account. I made an account just so it would save my answers, just so it would keep track of them. But if you want to create a poll at Straw Poll, you just go to strawpoll.me. And there you go. I have my poll. It's that there's nothing else to do. I just put my question there. And then I put in my options. I'm just going to put whatever, blah, blah, blah. You can have students log in if you want, but this duplication checking will just check their IP address, so you don't even have to worry about it. I usually do spam protection. If you want multiple choice that's available, you simply create the poll and the poll is ready. Now, all you have to do is copy that URL, give it to your students, post it in your chat, and you have an instant poll just like that. It's great. These polls stay active for, I believe, forever, because I did that Disney poll in a similar presentation like 3 years ago, and it's still active. So they don't seem to go away. Looks like I just lost my shared screen again. Did that happen to anybody else? All right. Omar, are you with us? Because my screen share just disappeared again.
Yeah, it does appear we're needing to retoggle the settings.
Okay.
My sincere apologies.
No problem.
We're in a group platform, and thank you. Do you notice any changes in your ability to re-engage?
Yep, we should be back now.
Okay.
All right, I think we're back. So the second tool, nope, lost it again.
Okay.
Who keeps doing that?
I'm not certain here. Just
I'll go into the main room and ask.
okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, while we're waiting, I'll talk about the next tool because I'm not going to go in depth into it. The next tool is Pear Deck. When I first made this presentation, it was for my school district back in July before we started school. I want to guess that by now, almost everyone in this room has used Pear Deck or Nearpod or something similar. Is there anyone who's not familiar at all with Pear Deck? Because I don't want to talk about it if we're already all familiar with it. But if we're not, I'll go over it real quick. All right, my screen share's back. Okay, Elizabeth says not, so I'll go over it real quick. Oh, all right, couple people. So Pear Deck then, I'll go over it if people are not aware. Pear Deck is a presentation tool. I lost it again.
Okay. Okay. I'm not.
Yeah, no, don't worry about it. We'll get there.
What's happening?
We'll get there. Pear Deck is a presentation tool that runs along with your PowerPoint or Google Slides, and it allows you to insert live interactive questions into your presentation. So if, for example, I had a map, I'm a social studies teacher, I could put a map up on there and give students icons to choose from that they could then drag those icons to represent certain things. So like, for example, just off the top of my head, if I said, okay, show me where the Battle of Charleston took place, they could drag their icon onto wherever that map took or wherever it took place on the map. And then I, as the teacher, have a back end where I see all 35 students responding in real time. So I can see immediately if students are getting the information. You can put in multiple choice questions. You can put in all sorts of things. The problem with sharing the link is you're going to lose all the animations probably.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I'll grab it.
Let's see if we can try one more time. And I just gave you privileges again. It's just that I'm afraid if I leave and go to the main room, it may stop something. My apologies.
Yeah, I get you. No, it's okay. Get the video back on. Okay, so we should be shared. And while we're working, I'll look at getting the link to Omar just in case it goes down again. So Pear Deck, it is a free add-on for Google Slides or PowerPoint. There is also a paid version. The paid version allows for more interactive things like drawing on the slide. You cannot do that with the free version, but it is just simply a way to take your already existing Google Slides. That's what I love about Pear Deck. You have your already built out show, and then you can insert the questions from there. Nearpod is a very similar sort of thing, but my understanding, I've not used Nearpod in years, is that you have to build it from scratch. So it's really cool with Pear Deck to add in those questions just automatically. So Pear Deck, I think it's just peardeck.com, but they're very active with that stuff. The third one I want to talk about in terms of putting on the show is Gimkit. Gimkit is an online gaming platform. So the best thing to compare it to is Kahoot. Oh, okay. Thank you, Darylyn. That's good to know. Because when I first used Nearpod again, which was years ago, it did not. It didn't integrate. You had to build it from scratch. So that's cool to know. Darylyn in chat says Nearpod does work with Google Slides. Excellent. And it has an add-on now. Fantastic. It blew my mind when I first saw it. I just didn't want to remake everything, but I will go check it out again. So Gimkit is kind of like Kahoot, but it's like Kahoot, but a million times better. So Kahoot is one of those things where it was so cool when it first came out, and now it's like every teacher uses it, every class uses Kahoot, and my students still enjoy it, but I'm like, I don't want to do this thing. Everybody's doing this thing. So I found Gimkit recently. Gimkit is a similar thing. It is a gaming platform. It works the same way, but it has multiple modes offered within the game. Their current mode, their current bonus mode is based on Among Us. which is really cool. It's so the way this mode works is the students are trying to figure out who the imposter is throughout the game, but they're answering content-based questions throughout the game. So usually I would play a game of Gimkit with my group. I'm going to hold that until the end. If we have time, we'll load it up and I'll show you what it looks like. But what I love the most about Gimkit is that it is interactive between the students. Kahoot is a student playing against the questions I've already written. Gimkit is a game where students are using the questions that I've created, but they're playing directly against each other. They can buy power-ups, they can freeze each other's screens, they can add bonus points if they notice one of their friends isn't doing so well, they can add some more. Isaiah, no, they don't have to log in at all. They don't have to have an account at all. They just simply, you give them a game code just like with Kahoot. So he asked, does it require student emails or parent emails? It does not. It's just completely open. Yeah, it is really, really cool. They love the power-up system. They love the fact that they can freeze each other. As the teacher, I can freeze any student at any time. I can add points to students that are falling behind. I can take points away. It is fantastic. So my only problem with Gimkit that I have to put out there as a caveat is that the only way to play the Among Us game, the only way to do live games is now to pay. The free version only allows student-paced mode, which is still very good. But if you want to do live interactive games with you as the live host, you have to get the paid version. And it's $10 a month or $60 for the year. I personally chose, I will happily pay the $60 because we play this a lot in my class and the students love it. And I love the repetition of it. That's the other thing I would add. It's kind of like, I can't even remember, like quizzes in that way, and that it repeats questions as you play. But because students are constantly building up a bank of money that they can then spend on power-ups, they don't mind that they just answered the same question 5 times. In Kahoot, if I accidentally repeat a question, the students are like, Ms. Rowan, we already did this question. Like, yeah, okay, sorry, I put it in there twice. Gimkit automatically repeats them, and it's incredible. There is a library of pre-made games, absolutely. Definitely, just like there is with Kahoot and stuff like that. And so sometimes we'll have 5 minutes left in class, 10 minutes left in class. I'll just load up a game on, I usually do the Disney character one. We play that one a lot. There's like Marvel movie titles, but there's also a bunch of content stuff already out there. I don't think so. Joe Marie asked, does the money carry over? I don't think there is a way to carry over, even if they are logged in. I think it's just for that one game, as far as I know. That's a great question, but I don't believe so. So Gimkit, highly recommended. One last cool thing about Gimkit, it was created and is run 100% by a high school student. He created it because he was bored with Kahoot and he wanted to make something better. And he made this awesome game. So I love, and that's the other reason I felt fine paying for it. Like I know my money is going to this kid. Jessica, it definitely does have tracking within the paid version. I've never used it, but yes. And even in the free version, at the end of every game, the reports you get are amazing. There are really good reports that come out of Gimkit. It breaks every question down to the percentage of positive responses. It breaks it down to which questions, it'll put it in a list, which questions did your students do the best on, which ones did they miss, so you know what you have to review. It's really good. Yeah, Blookit is another very new one that has some similar tools as well to Gimkit. Yeah. And that is such a cool story that it was made by, a high school kid. So I highly recommend checking out Gimkit. These are 3 ways to very, very easily get your students interacting with you. That is the high touch experience. Of high touch interactions.
The zombies are coming.
Brain snacks. I am a huge fan of doing interactive activities with students multiple times a period, whether we are in physical space or virtual. I love to make little mini activities that they do. We call them brain snacks because they feed your brain. If you're just looking at a screen for 45 minutes or 80 minutes, as your periods might be, your brain zones out. Someone this morning in our first session mentioned she was afraid she was going to end up, her brain was going to be zoomed out. I love that. I hadn't heard that, but zoned out, zoomed out. This is a way to break your kids out of that and get them back on track. So I have a whole bunch of different brain snacks. I'm going to have you do one right now called Tell It to a Kid. And here's what I ask my students to do in Tell It to a Kid. I give them a question and I tell them to imagine a 3 or 4-year-old and explain it to them. So I'll take any volunteer. You can just throw your answers in chat. How would you describe the concept of high touch that we just talked about to a kid? How would you describe high touch to a kid? Interactive lessons that are engaging and fun. I'm 3. I don't know what interactive means. Can't handle it. I always push my students. I always push them to make it as childish as possible. So we have a lot of fun with it. Ooh, you get to play and have fun. I like that. I like that. Something to blow your mind. Ooh, makes your teacher excited to talk to you. That's a great one too. I love using this with topics that are almost impossible to explain well to a 3-year-old. My favorite one is the Black Death. I always do this when we get to talking about the Black Death. I'm like, yeah, make that good for your 3-year-old cousin. One of my students about a year ago, she wrote that it's a sickness that makes strawberry jelly come out of your arms. Like, wow, okay, great. I don't know that your 3-year-old brother's going to learn very much, but I love the description. So normally what I would do if we were in class is I would have students do a little turn and talk, share out their answers, and it's always fun. If we're on Zoom, I usually do it the same way. Just throw some answers in chat. It just gives you a chance to do something a little differently. And exactly, Viri says it's so cool and it makes you remember it for a long time. So do brain snacks. That's the idea behind brain snacks as well, is that by having students process this information in a separate way, this is where you end up. You end up with a better presentation, more interaction. All right, our next thing is high show. I'm not going to read the whole thing this time. I made my point last time about why I was doing it this way. High show refers to the need to build vivid presentations, beautiful, colorful, memorable experiences, and it's talking about settings. So what is your setting for your virtual classroom? Mine is this, me in the jungle. Sometimes I'm in the jungle, sometimes I'm in a Mayan temple, sometimes I'm in space, sometimes I'm under the ocean. I spent last week under the ocean because we were talking about explorers. The things we can do with virtual backgrounds are powerful. If you don't have access to virtual backgrounds, well, then your setting becomes the presentation, what your students are actually looking at. Erica, who I think is in here, gave an awesome presentation in the first session that I highly recommend you check out, all about visual design and graphic design, because what we present to students, it matters. The reason Disneyland is so much better than Knott's Berry Farm, don't at me, is because it looks so much better. The presentation is so much better. Knott's, my students will always tell me, Mr. Oten, Knott's Berry Farm's better because it has better roller coasters. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to argue with you on that. You can argue that it has better attractions, but it doesn't look nearly as good. Ooh, Disneyland also has some great funnel cakes, but I will agree with you. They are not to the level. Knott's has the superior funnel cake. That is true. That is definitely true. No, you're right. You're right. I'm not going to deny that. But overall, Disney's better because of visuals. So I'm going to talk a little bit about visuals, but I would definitely say go back and look at Erica's presentation that was all about visuals because it was great. Here's my best example of Disneyland visual presentation, World of Color at Disney's California Adventure. I waited a long, long time before I went and saw World of Color because to me, the idea of a dancing water show had zero interest. I was not at all interested. I've seen the one at the hotel in Vegas and I was bored immediately. I finally went and saw it. I was blown away, just absolutely blown away. The use of color, the use of visual projection technology, the show is just incredible. It has no real content to it. I mean, it kind of has a loose story. It is just a visual explosion. And it made me want to watch. I wanted to see every piece of it. So I try to do the same thing with my students. What I'm going to show you here real quick, this is my pre-show. This is what runs before class every day, because I always have a few students who show up a few minutes early. So my pre-show is like one you might see at a movie theater. There you go, it's running. Where I have these lightly animated, very visually engaging slides. And I remind my students to go post their attendance online because they somehow always manage to forget. But you'll notice the slides are very simple. There's not a lot of text on any given slide. The images are used to tell the story. And that is the goal. Whenever you are communicating visually, the more you can do with images, the better. So I did a mock-up of this movie poster style thing that introduces and advertises a future lesson that is coming up later. But I'm selling the whole thing as a movie theater experience. I want my students to think that they're watching a show. Because again, that's what we're comparing ourselves to. That's what we're competing with, are these live virtual shows. So I have some little mini games like this one, where it slowly reveals a picture. I have another one where it sort of slowly reveals words, kind of like a Wheel of Fortune style thing. And these visually stand out. Students are interested to watch this kind of thing. It's not like watching a blank screen that just says post your attendance. It's not like sitting and waiting for a waiting room to let them into a room. I made all of these, Kenny. They are available on my website. So yes, you can get them there. And I always have music playing along with it. And I usually have Disney music playing, but not always. We listen to Hamilton in my US history class, but I play music along. It's all PowerPoint, Natalie, great question. This is all done through PowerPoint. So, sorry, my mother is calling me. I'm gonna ignore her for now. And real quick, I wanna talk about music because many of us have experienced music in a online room and it usually sounds horrible. It usually sounds awful. The reason it sounds awful is because the music often is coming through our microphone and not through our actual speakers. So Zoom is fantastic. Zoom, you can click a button to share your desktop sound. Google Meet, you cannot, but there is still a trick to do it. So I want to show you guys this trick. This is not technically part of the show, but I'm going to show you anyway, just because it's really cool. So actually, I probably shouldn't start a Google Meet because it'll possibly screw up my Zoom. So I'll just tell you how to do it. In the bottom corner of Google Meet, when you are logged in, there's a little gear. That's your settings. If you click on your settings, you can choose your microphone. And if you choose your stereo input, you change your microphone to the stereo input, then it is just going to broadcast back your sound from your computer. It won't pick up your voice anymore. It'll just give you a pure, clean presentation of sound through your computer. So you can play music by choosing the stereo speaker option as your microphone. You have to change it back to microphone when you want to start talking, but it's really, really cool. And Ginny, I have a list that I started like that as well, Janine, excuse me, and that is cool. I can't wait to check out that list because I do the same thing. So I'll try, again, at the end of the show, which I'm going to wrap up here in just a few minutes, I'll load up Google Meet. That way, in case it crashes everything, we're still good. But I do want to show that. I found that tip a couple months ago. It changes my life. It's so great. My website is teachwithmagic.com or mrroten.com. And I'll have all those links at the end as well. And we're almost to the end. So that's the pre-show. That's one way to provide great visuals. I'm not going to go through this detail, but if you want to create great visuals for your own classroom, again, go check out Erica's presentation. But these three websites are my main tools. Slides Mania is great for finding templates, Google Slide and PowerPoint templates. That's usually where I start, and then I modify them pretty heavily. And actually, here you go, Jasmine. I've even got the link ready. I'll just throw it in chat right now for my slides. Oh, great. My computer just locked up on me. Okay, we're back. There is the link to the presentation, by the way, guys. It's a big download, so you might not want to start it quite yet, just so you know. Slides Mania, great for finding the templates that you're going to use. Cool Text. If you are a Google Slides user, Cool Text is the best. Google Slides is very limited in things like word art. It is very limited in the sort of way you can present your fonts and your information. But Cool Text is a really cool free website for generating like titles, and they end up looking really neat. It's super easy, totally free. Definitely check out Cool Text. I use it for almost all of my slides titles on Google Slides. PowerPoint can do well enough on its own, but it's great for Google Slides. And then lastly, I want to throw a quick shout out to Bing Images. Usually we end up with Google Images, but Google no longer lets you directly link to the image. Bing still does. I don't know why Microsoft got out of that lawsuit, but they were able to. So still for now, when you go to Bing and you search, you can directly right-click, save the picture, and use it that way. So I use Bing as my image search. It's just as good as Google. It just also gives me that extra download step. So those are my 3 main tools. Here's a bunch of other tools if you really want to get into it. Dafont, D-A-F-O-N-T, is great for finding free fonts for your presentations. Free Sound is the one that I use for sound effects. It's great. I don't use a lot of sound in presentation. I'm very careful with it, but when you need one, Free Sound is great. If you want video loops, Footage Crate is good for that. Not a lot of free stuff there. It does have an annual fee. It's like $30 for the year, and you just literally download everything in 1 year, and then you're good. That's how I did it. Animation Factory, similar thing. They have everything. It is a paid service. And then probably my favorite is Fiverr. Fiverr is where you find people who are more talented than you are, usually graphic artists, designers. I use them for voiceovers a lot. And you pay them a very small amount, and they do incredible work for you. So in that opening video that ran at the very beginning, when you heard the sort of welcome to class thing, it sounded like Patrick Warburton, who's the guy who does it on Soaring Over California, Soaring Over the World. I didn't actually get Patrick Warburton. Shocking, right? No, I paid a guy $10 to do a sound alike, and now I have my own personalized class message that sounds like the introduction to Soaring. We're going to skip this brain snack just for time. I'll tell you how it works, but we won't do it. Touchscreen is a really cool one. Students choose a vocabulary word that they learn that day, and then they have to spell it in the air with their finger, and the rest of the class has to guess. This is one that works really well on virtual learning, especially if they have obviously have their camera on, but they spell the word, and it's pretty funny because some will figure out that they have to spell it backwards if their camera's not mirrored, and some of them are mirrored. It's just really cool. And this is another way where it locks that word into their brain because they have to work so hard to try to spell it. They will not forget whatever vocabulary word they pick. So there you go, touchscreen. The final piece is high tech. High tech in Disney represents speed, accuracy, expertise. It's about our processes being efficient and entertaining. Darylyn asked if I was a cast member. Not yet is always my answer to that question. Not yet. My literal bucket list, I has one item on it, and that is to be a skipper on the Jungle Cruise. That's all I have left to live for. Can't wait. It's going to happen. But no, I was never a cast member before. Just spend a lot of time at Disneyland and reading everything about Disney. So yes, someday. So high tech. I love this point. It needs to be efficient, process-based, and entertaining. That's what we're going for. I don't know what your system is. We use PowerSchool as our system. I know some people are using Canvas or Schoology or Google Classroom. Whatever system you are using, make it as efficient and entertaining as possible. Waiting in line is never efficient or entertaining, except at Disneyland. They do an amazing job of making it both efficient, grab your fast pass, come back later, and entertaining. You have games to play, you have things to look at during what should be the worst part of the day. So making sure that the so-called boring part, the process is part of your classroom, which for me is, again, this thing keeps freezing on me. I would show you, but my screen appears to have frozen. Usually, oh, there we go, we're getting there. That's my PowerSchool page, not that thrilling, pretty boring, but I've tried to make it pretty. I've tried to make it entertaining. This stuff is all animated when they're actually online, when they can actually see it. There's like little tech lines running through it. They click on the day, it looks like a calendar. This template, by the way, is from Slides Mania. I took it from them, so I didn't design it, easy to find. But it's also fun. There's some games over on the side that they can play if they're bored. That's what the side quests are, some history games. There's an item shop. My class runs on an XP and gold system, so they can buy power-ups and that stuff. Give them a reason to want to come to the page. That's what I'm trying to do. And that's the whole point of high tech with Disney. Give them a reason to be willing to wait in that 2-3 hour line and make it as short as you can. Yeah, I agree, Scott. I just wish I had a pass entirely on student conferences. I'll just skip them 100%. This was a short session. My website has tons of stuff. It has blog entries going back 5 years. It has every assignment I've ever given a student is on there for free. It is downloadable. It is available to you. I am trying and have successfully, in my opinion, put it all together into one big book. My book is scheduled to be published in spring, summer 2001. So I am submitting my final version is getting submitted on Monday. So I'm very excited about it. Look for Teach with Magic, at least on Amazon and hopefully in bookstores as well. I am very happy with the cover, finally. It took a long time to get there, but I'm pretty darn happy with the cover. That is subject to change, but I'm pretty happy with it too. So summer 2021, that's this year. So thank you guys, should be coming out soon. Teachwithmagic.com for the book. Oh, 100%, Raquel. If you email me, I'll find a way to get it signed for you. I'd be happy to. If you ever need to contact me, I am very available. MrRoten.com is the main site. Teach with Magic currently takes you there as well. My email address for all school-related things is rotened@gmail.com. Oh gosh, Darylyn, I don't even dare put that on my bucket list. But yes, if I ever saw it for sale at Disneyland or in a Disney project of any kind, my life would be good. I'm very active on Twitter. Everything new that I post usually goes on Twitter long before it goes on the website because it's very easy to share on Twitter. So it's just @MrRoten.com. And then finally, if you want to see my stuff on Teachers Pay Teachers, you won't. You're not going to find it there. I do not charge for anything I do. I make it for my students. If you find value out of it for your students, take it, use it, share it. It's all yours. We're in this together is what I like to say. So take whatever you got, whatever you want. I used up nearly all of our time. I'm very good at that.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. A round of applause to Mr. Routen. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, your expertise. And I want everyone to know I have linked his session resources to our at a glance document. I just dropped a link in the chat. So you'll also see his bio, his resources, plus every other resource for every other session that we'll be adding to that as well. So make sure you save that link. Please do go grab a bite to eat and join us in the main room for our lunch and learn. And thank you for joining us today for our magical Mystery Tech Fest. Looking forward to a great day. Thank you.
Yes, Crystal, I do have it.